9/11 mastermind in a civilian court in New York City may not be final after all. That's because White House advisors are having second thoughts, and now they're considering recommending that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed be tried in a military court. What's the view from New York? Here's Susan Candiotti.
Right here is my best friend Terry Hatton.
Every time retired New York firefighter Tim Brown visits Ground Zero, he remembers every detail. When that first tower came down, where were you standing?
We were right on the sidewalk here outside the 2 World Trade Center when it collapsed.
That must have been terrifying.
It was terrifying.
Brown demands the president do an about-turn and scuttle Attorney General Eric Holder's plan to try accused 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 4 others in civilian courts.
We should not be giving these scum terrorists the protections of our most sacred document in America, the United States Constitution.
I think it's a disgrace.
But fellow retired firefighter Jim Riches, whose son was killed on 9/11, says a civilian trial is the answer.
They're nothing but terrorists and criminals who murder people, and that's where they should be tried in federal court, just like we tried 200 other men and given them long prison terms.
On Sunday, Senator Lindsey Graham told Face the Nation he'll press fellow Republicans to shut the prison at Guantanamo if the president abandons civilian trials.
So I'm going to need people from the Bush administration who tried to close Gitmo to put aside partisanship, rally around this president, stand by his side, and say, let's close Gitmo safely.
Closing Gitmo is an unfulfilled campaign promise the American Civil Liberties Union hasn't forgotten. Its full-page ad in Sunday's New York Times shows Mr. Obama morphing into George Bush if the president doesn't stick with civilian trials.
The president is at a critical turning point, and he could be on the verge of making a colossal mistake, both for the safety of the American people and for the image of the United States abroad.
But when it comes down to those who personally knew victims,
I am dead set against this happening on U.S. soil. These terrorists murdered my friends. 93 of my friends.
Some say enough is enough.
It's 9 years later. Let's try these guys finally, please.
How will the debate end? An answer is expected in the next 2 weeks, one that may not satisfy either side. Susan Candiotti, CNN at New York's Ground Zero.
All right, Susan, let's talk about terror trials and the big political stories ahead this week with our political editor, Mr. Mark Preston. Mark, good to see you. Welcome back. You were away last week. So, Mark, the president is going to really make someone angry regardless of what he decides.
Yeah, he is. And certainly we've seen that today with that New York Times ad the ACLU took out. The fact is he's between a rock and a hard place. This time last year, Don, he talked about his desire, his will, his determination to close the Guantanamo Bay facility, and that he said he would have these trials held here on U.S. soil. Of course, there's been a lot of pushback on that, but it's not only from Republicans, it's from Democrats. In New York, it was from Democratic lawmakers who didn't want the trial in their city. So, yes, he's not going to make anybody happy, I think, with his decision.
And, Mark, we had that ad up. It's not the first time, though, the ACLU has done that. They did the same thing with President Bush a couple of years back, so they have taken out those ads before. But let's move on now. Can we talk about ethics and a story that I've been calling Democrats in trouble? I mean, you know, back in 2006, Democrats hammered Republicans over ethics. Now the Democrats have some ethics.